I want to make the video today. Honestly, I just want to get on here and talk about how this whole thing really got started and how honestly I started doing software engineering that ultimately led to this channel because I've been posting videos, I mean, in some form or another for 7 years, which is longer than I've been doing software engineering, which is just crazy to me that we've passed 4,000 subscribers on here, but also just crazy how many interactions I've had with people on here now talking about software engineering and jobs and books, and it's been very interesting. I've really enjoyed this whole YouTube experience. It's a fascinating time, and we'll see where this goes. But I'm real excited about honestly you know just being able to get on here and share about software engineering and share about these books and make these projects and do benchmarking and make these videos about technologies and share them on my channel. I mean, it's fascinating because I know when I started, what really got me through problems and you know honestly, probably what ultimately got me a job was YouTube, right? Like if I needed to create something that I was learning, I would go on YouTube and watch a video and tutorial. So I really do believe that if it wasn't for YouTube, I just don't know if I'd be in the same spot in software engineering as I am now. And I mean, it's one of the most fascinating things that we have access to in modern times is just the ability to go on and practically learn about anything you want to and change the whole course of your life in a couple videos if you learn a new skill. I mean, it's just wild to think about. I mean, it's crazy. I can't believe that I can get on YouTube. I can type in some obscure topic about RabbitMQ, how to connect it in a .NET application, and then that's it. Before that was like before you had to sift through so much obscure documentation, do so much trial and error on your own just to hopefully maybe establish a connection to RabbitMQ. And somebody now has made a video where it just kind of takes all that research and condenses it into a video to follow. And there's just countless topics about all that stuff. And it just blows my mind. I just want to get on here and talk about this because the whole YouTube experience is fascinating to me. And honestly, where I really got started was honestly back in middle school. I had originally wanted to do some kind of mobile app, make a mobile app in a sense. So I remember I got some book. I got some like Android programming book. I had no idea what I was reading. Right? I didn't know what I was doing. So I tried to follow along the best I could. And I made like an app that like I could click a table cell and it would play a sound. I just like this. It wasn't even anything, right? But to me, it was something because it was not only the first time that I made something that I could then interact with on like an emulated device. Um, it might have been in high school. I think I might have. This might have been in high school. Middle school might have been iOS. I can't even remember now. It was either iOS or Android, but it doesn't matter. But all I know is I made a little app that it would show text on an emulated device. It would have like a table, and you could click that, and it would make a sound. Now, I'm sure you could look up people who are like, who are making like whole games, but I was not doing that. I just wasn't. I just that's not where I started, and I made these just simple things, and I knew from that point on that I probably wanted to do something with this programming. And around that time too, as I kind of got into high school, I started to really build computers and really kind of get into that. So I had a MacBook, and I took out the disk drive, and I replaced the disk drive with another hard drive bay, and I put two SSDs in the my MacBook, and I put them in a RAID 0 configuration, and then I changed the RAM, and I just thought that was the coolest thing ever because I basically made my computer like twice as fast with like kind of this like hacked solution that somebody made like this bay for to replace your disk drive with. It was really cool. And then I built a tower, and then I've made a few of those since, like tower like desktops. Um, and I can remember going into those like Tiger Direct stores. Actually, I don't even know if those stores are still around. I don't know, but I remember going to those and just like walking around looking at all like the computer hardware and just thinking it was like the coolest thing ever. So honestly, that's like kind of how at least I got into this, and then I started making videos around that time. But I never actually did anything with them because I was always a little too self conscious to make YouTube videos, to be honest. Because originally I just thought it was like as YouTube was becoming a thing, it wasn't as common for people to like stream and make videos like this and talk about or document their experience. Now it's so common, so many people do it, so it's not. I don't really think much of it. But back 10 years ago, it wasn't as common. I mean, it still was like gaining popularity, but I think overall I just kind of felt self-conscious about it a little bit. And I wish that I shouldn't have, because I think I could have made content around like building the desktops or things like that, or at least like document. I wish that I would have documented like where I really started from in programming, because I think that it would have been helpful for me to like help track my progress, but honestly just kind of see like where I did start. Like I remember I couldn't even write a for loop, and when I was originally learning like Python, when I was able to get like a for loop to print out like numbers 1 through 52, and it was like a card deck simulator. I just thought that that was the neatest thing ever, because it was like I made something happen on my computer. Like I wrote instructions to do that, and now looking back on it, like I it's crazy to think about. When you're in that moment writing your first program, it's so you think you've just made the greatest thing you've ever seen, right? Because you've made something new happen on the computer, whatever it is. And then from that point you're like, okay, how do I build on this? How do I make something else? How do I do something? And so, but you have to start somewhere, and just those basics, that's really what it's all about, right? You can't just go and become like a game developer just like in one day, right? It's just not going to happen. You have to start somewhere, and I think that for me, at least I wish I had that kind of documented, just so I could look back on it myself and just kind of see how far I've come. But honestly, just to see how my interests have changed with programming, because I don't really, I don't really have that much of an interest in mobile development anymore. I haven't touched iOS development in probably 4 years, and I haven't. So it's interesting, right? It's interesting how much the job market has influenced my interests when it comes to programming out of necessity. Um, I don't know, like if a job wasn't a concern, I don't know if I would be doing .NET. I don't know if I would still be doing iOS. I have no idea. So I really think that when I look back on it, I can kind of trace like when I started. That was just pure interest, and then as I kind of got older, and I had to think more about getting a job in this, it kind of redirected my interests away from where I started, which was iOS development, and then kind of moved it into where I am now, which is .NET and more like web technologies and web services and API development. Um, so it's just interesting, and I don't look back on that and see that as like a bad thing that my interest changed, but I just see it as kind of like the natural progression that we all go through in terms of we all get into this career, out of some interest in computers. But then something happens, and something happens when we are forced to make money with the thing that we like to do. And I think for a lot of people, including myself, I think that can be a hard transition because it makes us, it makes us face reality a bit, um, and it makes us really consider, are our interests sustainable? Can we pursue our interests in a way where we can make a living off of them? And sometimes the answer will be no. And for me, iOS development was that no, just because I wasn't able to get a job in that. I wasn't able to get an internship. For me, it was just too competitive, so that's why I switched to .NET. And I think that was a big learning experience for me because I had to go through those interviews for internships and jobs for iOS development, and I had to do the technical interview and the screen, and then I got the rejection letters, and then the calls and everything. So I think it was a good learning experience nonetheless, but it was definitely the first time where it made me question programming. It made me question, like, is this going to be as fun as it once was? Is it going to be as fun when I was like, 14 and I made my first application and I was real excited? Is that excitement going to persist when I get a job? And I think that that's the first time that I ever thought that the excitement may not persist. It may not carry through into the first job. Now, looking back on it, as I'm like approaching like the 6-year mark into working in software development, I think that I've had kind of ebbs and like the excitement has kind of ebbed and flowed. Uh, I think when I started, the excitement was pretty high, and then it kind of plateaued pretty early on, and then it it dropped off pretty quick, especially in that first year. And it took about another year, kind of in that valley, to really get out of that and have the excitement build again. And I really think it began to build when I started reading books, because I think that books for me unlocked like it unlocked something where it showed me that I could be more in charge of my career than what I had previously thought. Books, it's not like you're just going to read, the secret hidden programming book and then it's going to like propel you in like this crazy success. Probably not, but I think that it just showed me that if I read enough programming books, I can largely be in charge of what technologies I work with and how quickly I'm able to get to the next level in programming in my career. And I think that was the moment when I started to gain excitement again, is when I realized that if I really get serious about this, and for the next 3 years, and I really dedicate 3 years of time to reading, I really think that it'll be helpful. And during those 3 years is when I saw the most change, at least in my programming, and at least in how I thought about software in general. And it was during those 3 years also that I transitioned out of being a software developer 1 to a software developer 2, and then a senior developer. So those three changes, those big changes, I really think have come largely as a result of reading, because reading, I think, challenged my understanding of what the status quo truly was, right? Because I saw, software as the kind of this like nebulous like career where it's like you don't really you never really know what's coming, right? There's so many technologies out there that you kind of just work with what you're working with at the time. Reading for me put me more in control of that, where it showed me, okay, I can actually become really good at some of these technologies and use the few technologies that I can become really good at to help guide me in a way where I can be in the best position for myself, but also be in the best position for my personal career. But I don't think that obviously there was my excitement kind of had its ups and downs during that too. But I think the excitement changed. I think the excitement shifted from just kind of like a, just the early excitement that you have about starting any project or like hobby or anything. I think it shifted from that to an excitement that was more of like, where could this take me? Excitement in terms of my own life. Um, and I really don't know. I've questioned this a lot as I'm kind of, been talking about this more on the channel and getting more into system design. For me, I think that that's where I see this headed in terms of my career. Is I think I see myself going from programming to try to get focused more on the design. Um, but I don't know. I'll have to see. Um, but anyway, that's kind of what I just want to come on and just really talk about. But as far as the content on this channel specifically, we are well underway for the system design series. I have a couple things that I want to try. There's one really specific RabbitMQ thing that I've been wanting to try, that I might make content on. I did get another RabbitMQ book. It's RabbitMQ in Action. I read the other book, RabbitMQ in Depth. So I'm hoping that this one, in combination with the other one, will hopefully give me a complete understanding of RabbitMQ, and then hopefully I can go from there and then make just quality videos on to show you how to actually use that. Um, and then I would like to also make kind of like a mini .NET series, but like the lesser known parts of .NET, because I think there's so much content on .NET, and there's so many very, very just good tutorials out there that show you how to get this thing set up, how to do all this stuff. But I think that there's a few things that I could make content on that I think that would be helpful, and it's the things that I struggled with coming into .NET. So when I kind of figure those out, I'll kind of write them down and we'll make content on that. But I would say that in the next probably 6 months, I'm hoping to make some more targeted .NET content. Is what I want to do. So I'm trying to make this realistic, and I'm trying to honestly make this content make sense, and really have the core programming stuff be as realistic as possible. Because if you go back and look at any of the Two-Stroke Engine series videos where we go into the code and I show you benchmarks and I show you different technologies and stuff like that, that to me is the most genuine form of software development. There's no fluff there. It just is a running system. And so I think that I think I'm going to continue to build on that, and hopefully just create stuff that I'm trying to fill in the gaps, and really just I'm hoping to make just down to earth content about the harder parts of programming and software development, and .NET in particular. I just think that there's a couple things that I want to do it on, but no real topic for this one. But I just want to go kind of get on, talk about this, and have a discussion about it. So I'll see you in the next one.